you doing?
Good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm really good.
In that moment, I'm not thinking about competition or strategy. I'm thinking Oprah Winfrey is sitting across from me, and how can I make the best of this amazing situation?
So, first of all, it's a grueling thing to do a show. What made you want to even take this on?
I thought it could really help a lot of people. You know, and I thought this is a way for me to give a voice to a population that really hasn't had one, I don't think.
What has been the most challenging for you, Zach?
I think my own sort of demons of figuring out, you know, that I'm worth this experience, because it's hard for me to kind of accept that I might deserve this.
Yeah, you know, this coming to terms with your own self-worth is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
So, how old were you when you figured out that you were different than the other kids?
I knew that I had a wheelchair, obviously.
Yeah.
They didn't shield that from me. But other than that, it was just my life. And then I learned, you know, if I make a joke about this, then it puts people at ease.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest misconception about people with disabilities?
That they are helpless and that their personalities are defined by their disabilities. You know, because I am so many things before I am a person in a wheelchair. Get to know the person, the chair is incidental.
I love that. Bravo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you. I have so many questions for you.
Okay.
What has been the moment where you felt the most pressure to be Oprah?
Well, I think the most pressure to be Oprah is actually in creating this network. And that's a beautiful question, I have to tell you, because I think the world expects this network to immediately be what the Oprah show has been. And it has taken me 25 years.
Hello. Wonderful. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Great. So that is a wonderful video clip that you can see in its entirety, which is really, really wonderful. We'll put that up on our website. I'm Claudia Wu from the Center for Civic Engagement and Service, and along with my co-director, Terry Yaffe, we are really delighted to have been working with a tremendous group of people, including Understanding Our Differences, faculty from the Special Ed Department, Dr. David Tiki, and Nathan Zambieri. And we're really here because of Nathan and all the things that all the people he's brought together around this very, very important topic. And before I hand it over to Nathan, I just wanted to do a little quick housekeeping. You guys all have yellow sheets and a white sheet and an index card. And the yellow sheet is a pre and post presentation survey that we'd love to have you guys fill out. So just take 2 seconds to fill out the one side that says pre-presentation on that survey. After we're done, we'd like you to take 30 seconds and do the post, which is just on the back side or on the statement piece of paper. The white sheet is for resources, more about this topic. And the index card is if you'd like to ask a question, because there will be time to answer questions once the panel has concluded. There'll be people who will collect the note cards for you. So if you have a question, just write it down. Don't be shy. Do that, and we'll bring it up to the moderators. So I just wanted to thank everybody who's been involved in this and hand it over to Nathan, who has been the leadership and inspiration for this whole program. So thank you all for being here.
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm co-moderating with Ms. Comiskey. This panel is all about for students to share their stories about living with disabilities. So I hope you enjoy it.
Hi everyone. Like Nathan had mentioned, I'm Ms. Comiskey, and some of you may have seen Nathan and I do our stand-up comedian act in various classrooms last year about understanding disabilities, and we also participated in a panel discussion at the Kindness Day. But if you are new to this, we're really happy that you're here, and we're excited that we have such support from the audience. One thing that purpose of that film or that clip was really to talk about, or for you to see the real anchor of why we're doing this. And this is really to help everyone understand that disability doesn't define us, just like any other aspect of our profile or personality. So, yep, sure you can, Nathan. So the basis, let me just give them sort of the sense of what to expect. So you're going to hear from different people with different disabilities and backgrounds and experiences. And some of it is really sensitive topics. So we're going to just kind of listen, and you're really just going to see a conversation happening. And then afterwards, like Claudette mentioned, we'll bring you guys into the conversation, and that'll be about questions that you may have, okay? So we really hope that you're not going just to hear us talk, but we then can engage in a nice conversation about disabilities, okay? And Nathan, you wanted to add, and then we're going to introduce the panel.
Before we dive into the actual panel, I just want to say that that video has some inspiring words, and I just want to say that it's really important to see the person and not the disability, and that's the whole message I think you should all take away from today. So,
Why don't we do introductions?
yes, so we will start. I'm in 11th grade.
And you want to pass the mic, or Brendan, you want to introduce
Yes.
yourself?
Hi, my name is Brendan Whalen, and I'm a sophomore.
And hi, name is Ian. I'm at the auditorium. Yes, I'm sitting down holding a microphone.
Thank you, Ian. Allie?
Hi, my name is Allie, and I'm in the Community Connections program.
And she has a microphone, so we're good.
Testing.
Oh, it doesn't work.
Okay, now it's working.
Okay.
I'm Thatcher Andre, and I'm a senior.
Great. So we're here just to learn a little bit more about you, and then we'll dive into some other questions. And I have this. We'll dive into some other questions. So Nathan, I'm going to start with you, okay? Because you're sort of like co-monitoring, but you're also a panelist. So we're going to kind of play this like back and forth. So I'm going to actually start with Thatcher, and then we can move down. And then Nathan, do you want to ask the questions, and then I'll ask you the same question?
Right,
Okay.
so Thatcher is down, right?
What are your sort of interests and background? Can you tell me a little bit about sort of what you like to do in community, hobbies, etc.?
Yeah, so I'd say most of my life outside of schoolwork mainly revolves around the arts, particularly the performing arts. Like here at North, I've been involved with the music department and the theater department. Like theater, I've been involved with a lot of productions on stage and off stage. And I'm also part of some of the singing groups here. And I also play piano and guitar, and I sing. So yeah, I'd say most of my life revolves around the performing arts.
Allie, do you want to share a little bit about what you like to do for fun and what makes you
Well, for fun, I like to sing and read books.
I do like to sing and read some books.
What else do you like, Ian?
I do like reading the papers about our speech.
Do you have any interests that you like?
My interest is working at Star Market, taking the bus, cleaning trash, going to college, cleaning at Star Market and some Dexo, and taking a walk and
Ian,
about crossing some
hold
streets.
on 1 second.
I do like to look up cars in the parking lot.
Awesome. Car specialist over there. All right, Brendan?
For fun, I like to go just to my tiger friends, play soccer, and dance with a couple of other people because I love to spend time with my friends because they are always like to see me every time when I see them, and they always make me happy, and I feel confident that I think about other people because there are lots of people have disabilities too, and we all celebrate people have disabilities in their life. So I love spending time with my friends and families and coaches and brothers and cousins. So yeah.
Awesome. So just to recap, you really like to hang out with your other friends who have disabilities and then hanging out with your family and doing all these other community activities. I heard you like Zumba. Yeah. Brendan is quite a dancer. If any of you have noticed that or seen him dancing in the hallway or the cafeteria, you know, anywhere where there's not actually a dance going on, you would see Brendan dancing, right? We're working on that, but, you know, baby steps. All right, Nathan?
So, I like to two of my main passions are photography and theater. I've been involved with a few theater productions here, namely I was a knight in Cinderella, and I was the rabbi in Fiddler on the Roof. And with photography, I like to take pictures of ordinary things like pictures that combine light and texture that other people sometimes miss rushing through their everyday lives. So yes, photography and theater are two of my, well, right now they are my two main interests. So.
Okay, great. So I'm going to...
Should I ask some questions now?
Yeah, you should definitely ask questions. Nathan wants me, like, off the stage here.
No, I don't. That's not what I'm saying at all.
So can you maybe talk about how,
I'm sure what I...
So you're asking the questions to the other guy.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. So can you all explain what you want other people to know about your disability?
You know what? I was thinking, maybe we'll start with Thatcher, okay? And maybe not everyone will answer every single question, but Thatcher would be a great start. Do you have your microphone, Thatcher? Or Ian, why don't you pass your microphone?
So, my disability is, I have Asperger syndrome, which is an autism spectrum disorder, and I'd say the way this mainly impacts my life is it affects me academically and socially. So academically, I have a slower processing speed, and often I will need to ask for clarification for when given information and instruction. Sometimes I need to ask the same clarifying question over and over to make sure I'm doing things right. And socially, I'd say if social environments just tend to be harder for me. Like sometimes I may not know what to say, I may not say the right thing, and yeah, so I guess what I would want people to know about this is that while being on the autism spectrum definitely makes things harder for me, it doesn't mean that like it's impossible for me to succeed academically and socially. Like, yes, it might be a huge obstacle, but no, it's not like a prevention.
Allie, do you have anything you want the audience to know about how things are harder for you because of your disability?
Well, it's harder for me to read like words on a book.
I do read books on a word alphabet book.
And then, Brendan, what are some things that are difficult for you sometimes? Do you have an example?
Sometimes when people write really fast on the whiteboard, sometimes it's hard for me to look on the whiteboard because I want to write really slowly, not fast, because I do like to write a lot, but when people write too fast on the whiteboard, it's really hard and difficult for me sometimes.
So, what I want other people to know about my disability is that I sometimes I am lonely, like in the lunchroom. You know, the social aspect is very hard for me, but I'm trying to improve on that. And another thing people would like to know about me is just because I have a disability, I can't do, that doesn't mean I can't do awesome things. So just like it said in the video, we really want to see past the disability and really see the person inside. So that's my...
What are some things that, what are some things,
Does it work now? Okay.
Yeah.
What are some things that, that are hard for you and that you figured out how to like still do what you need to do? Like, is that, I can be more clear.
Yeah, but I think I get what you mean. Should we let some other people, or should
No, let's start, I mean, let's start with you because I think that this is something that you've been working on, trying to find ways to access what you need in a different way.
So, yeah, so...
Like in school or socially?
Yes, sure. So, writing on paper, pencil and paper is hard for me. So whenever I can, I try to have the teachers put assignments online on Schoology, if you all know what that is, which I hope you do.
You're in trouble if you don't actually know what school it is.
Right, but I try to get the teachers to put the assignments on Schoology so I can download them into my PDF annotator that I have on my iPad. So I like to use assistive technology in the classroom. So,
Allie, is there anything that you use that helps you? I don't know, do you use your smartphone, or do you have like a book of visuals, or what helps you kind of feel more independent?
Using my phone to call my mom.
Yeah, I know, the microphones are hard.
Using my phone to call my parents if they're not home, or just going down to my nana's house.
Awesome. Brendan, I know I'm skipping around. You have a mic, Brendan, right? You can hold on to that, Allie. Brendan, what are some things that help you find success in school? Let's focus on school.
Sometimes, like, mental health is, like I ask teachers to help me, how to learn about more history class, because when people help me out with the history, I feel really happy, because it really helps me out to learn things, because sometimes I need some help from other people to teach about like the news and history, what's going on around the world, and everything that I know in life and philosophy, because it is really important for me, because it's really good to ask people to help if people don't make the right decision sometimes, because it does works for me. Yeah, if I need to ask help and see my words, and I feel happy with that.
Thank you. So just to recap, you ask for help, you love learning history and facts in PowerPoint presentations, and your visuals are really great. I witnessed, Brendan is he's such a smooth talker. He can talk himself out of just about anything. He might be a little shy here on the stage, but don't let that fool you. So Thatcher, how about any aspects that you want to share regarding how do you compensate for your disability?
Yeah, so I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but like I said, I have a slower processing speed, and it usually takes longer for me to understand instruction from either a teacher or a classmate. And over time, I've just become a lot better about asking clarification questions, even if it means like asking a lot of clarification questions or simply asking the same one over and over again. And yeah, that just helps me know that I'm doing the right thing.
Okay, thank you, Thatcher. Just to add on to that, also because of my...
Okay, don't sweetheart. Oh, here, Ian, I'm gonna take that. You're doing a great job. That's all right.
Sorry
Sorry,
about that. Yeah, so, oh, okay. So, like that you said, I also have a slower processing speed, and I need some more time on tests and quizzes and things like that. And also, I struggle a lot with reading comprehension. So that's an area I'm working on. Yeah, sorry. So, I've struggled a lot of times with social situations in the lunchroom. Like a lot of times, people won't know how to like interact with me. So, and again, I'm trying to reach out more and like interact with people who I don't know. But again, with a big cafeteria and all these people I don't know, coming at me, it is hard to find people to sit with, and I guess that's an everyday struggle for me. These
Thank you for sharing.
microphones don't want to cooperate.
We need to upgrade to the microphone. No, I'm just kidding. But that's really, thank you for sharing, and I know how very hard that is for you on a daily basis, and I've firsthand encountered your experience in the lunchroom. Has anyone had any similar experience or another type of experience that they may want to share? Thatcher, do you want to go? And then maybe Brendan and Allie, and then
Yeah,
Ian, if you want.
Like I said a little bit earlier, I definitely struggle socially a lot, especially with in big social environments as well as even small social environments. So sometimes maintaining a conversation is hard. Like someone might be talking about X and I might somehow start talking about Y, and then people are like, that's not what we were talking about, what are you talking about? And big social environments are really overwhelming because part of being on the autism spectrum is having bigger reactions to sensory stimuli. So for me, yeah, crowds tend to be overwhelmed because there is so many people, there's a lot more noise, and my anxiety just increases a lot. And back to what I said earlier about how it's not really impossible for me to succeed socially, yeah, I mean, I can still maintain a conversation. I think I've definitely gotten better at it. It's just harder, that's all. Not impossible for me, just harder.
Sorry.
Yes, sorry. I just want to add to that what Thatcher said, not the social, pushing my way through the crowds, even physically, and when there are potholes on the sidewalk, I have trouble navigating those, not so much with the physical, not so much with the social aspect, but more of just the physical aspect, because I do have a walker, and we want, my ultimate goal is for, and we have a long way to go, my sort of ultimate dream is to have, it accessible, and I know that's really ambitious, but I don't know.
Great.
I feel comfortable saying I don't know.
Well, I think it's something that you feel really passionately about, that everyone should have access, right? Brendan, and then anyone, Allie, if you wanted to share. Brendan, I've seen some of your experiences, a lot of your experiences at North so far, and a lot of wonderful, wonderful experiences. Have you had any that you would want to share that were hard for you, but then, you know, you learned something and it kind of helped you become who you are?
Sometimes when I feel a little stuck at math, because sometimes math is really hard for me to understand. Because when people, I numbers on the whiteboard sometimes, and if I don't answer the question, because math is really hard for me because it is really struggling for me because it is really hard, and I just want to say that math is really hard for me because this is hard, and I can't like understand my speech because my speech is good. I speak perfectly my speech, and I feel happy that I got smooth speech with my speech teachers at North, and I feel impassioned because speech is good for me because it's good for me, and I feel happy by that.
Good, so I mean, school is hard, and there are a lot of things that you struggle with, but you're happy and you found ways to communicate, and I love that. Allie, did you want to add anything?
Well, what's hard for me is learning math worksheets and remembering all the numbers that are on them, so math is kind of hard for me.
Puzzles are hard.
Puzzles are hard, yeah. I agree. But you don't give up, right?
9,000 pieces would be hard. 9,000 would be hard.
No, you can just pull the mic away a little bit. There you go. Like this. You see how it's from here to here? Oh, a little closer. Stop.
Like that.
Just like that. Now speak.
9,000 pieces would be hard.
Well, that's pretty amazing, actually. Have you noticed that sometimes your challenges are your strengths too? You know?
Yes, my challenges are my strengths.
Yes. Ian, do you want to share your speech that you brought? I think that would be really awesome if you share your experience and what you've learned at North, and now you're in the post-grad program and you're working on vocational and transition.
How does your disability impact your life?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I walk from my house to Star Market. I walk from Star Market to Newton North. I am learning how to take the bus to the Price Center. I am learning how to use my Charlie card. I walk around Bull Pond all by myself, and I clean up any trash around the pond. How is life different for you? I feel different from my classmates. I walk a lot and I exercise a lot. I did not go to college like my sisters. Instead, I went to Community Connections, and I work at Star Market in Sodexo. What do you like to do in your free time? I like to take breaks in the basement. I like to use my elliptical. I like to clean, like vacuuming, wiping down the tables, and where it's messy. I like to watch Star Wars. I like to use the computer. What would you like people to know about your disability? I might do the same things over and over. I know a lot of information. Like I know a lot about cars. What are my hobbies? I do Newton Athletes Unlimited. Exercising. I like to do track, baseball, bowling, floor hockey, soccer. I like to do Zumba. I like to do shopping and cooking. Make mac and cheese and pasta. I do the PMS challenge every year with my dad. Yes, it is awesome. I like to travel. I have gone to San Francisco, Palm Springs, and I go to Cape Cod a lot. What places do you like to go to? Target, Horseman, the pond, the beach, swing set, to the movies, out to breakfast. Riding on public transportation and going to Newton Public Library where you have to be quiet to look at books. What does friendship mean? Friendship is hanging out with friends, singing together in our music group, doing Newton. Athletes Unlimited with my friends. Yes, that was it.
Thank you. So, Ian, have you done this before?
No, I haven't done this before.
Well, that was amazing because you really got up and how brave that was to share all those things. So
Right.
you got a round of applause on that one.
Yes, I did get a round of applause.
Thumbs up.
Awesome.
Yeah. So really, is there anything else, just looking at the time, because I really would love to have you guys ask some questions and be a part of any discussion or that we're having. Let me just look at, what's the time? I just have to look at my, I have to watch on.
9:50.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, let's have maybe one more round and then kind of, is there anything else that, we haven't covered that you feel like, Allie, I mean, we want to hear, I know you have a presentation that you've done at elementary schools, right? So Allie and Ian have been a part of the understanding differences at the elementary level. And so we're sort of weaving it into this presentation. So would you like to share some of that? Okay. And then maybe Thatcher, Brendan, and Nathan, if there's think of some last things that you want the audience to know before we go into the Q&A. Does that make sense? Okay. Allie?
Hi, my name is Allison. Some things that are hard for me is relaxing and reading books and math. I have a hamster. I like to go on the computer and I like to sing. I like to have meetings with my friends. I like to read and I like to watch movies. I do cheerleading, Zumba, I like to go bowling and Dave & Buster's in the paint bar. I like to play games, I like to play headbands, apples to apples, have sleepovers at my friend's house. I like to call people on the phone, FaceTime, text, and I like to watch the Bruins and go to Cabot's.
I do too. I love Cabot's. Thatcher, do you have anything that sort of you would like to, your parting words, so to speak, or, what makes you you? What do you want people to know when they see you in the hallway?
Okay, so
That's a loaded question, I know.
I think something else that's important to know about being on the autism spectrum, and I think maybe also having a disability in general. So for me, like how earlier I said, being on spectrum doesn't make things impossible, just harder. I just want to reiterate that even though I definitely have grown socially and academically, even though I've definitely found ways to sort of compensate for my disability, it doesn't necessarily mean that like I've solved all my problems or anything. It just means that I found ways to cope with it, and it doesn't. And no matter what, I'm still always going to struggle with, you know, processing loads of information and maintaining conversations and being in social situations. Like those will always be struggles, and even if I find coping strategies, those struggles will always be present.
Brendan, did you want to share some parting words? Like, what do you want the audience to know when they see you in the hall about who you are and your disability?
I really want to, like in the hallway, I like to say hi to people, say what's up to coaches and brothers that I know, my family, and and and, and staff in the hallway, and I feel happy because I feel really myself is that I feel really happy at this school because my brother Jack is a great brother because he always give me good examples to me, like you don't like stare at people. You have to make good decisions. Make sure your blood classes on time. When you make sure you can be really responsible and care about your safety, because it's really important to care about your safety because it is really important. Because my brother Jack is an awesome brother and I love him so much. And I'm really happy to have a big brother in my life because he always keeps me happy because he always tells me every morning when I go to school, he always says, good luck Brennan in your history test or what you do at the North, and I feel happy to see Mr. Tokok here because he always says to me that that we feel happy and strange and even mad because he always tells me when to take deep breaths every time when I see him because Coach Conley is an amazing coach because he always tells me we gotta be appropriate or was not appropriate because it really gives me a lesson to listen to other people, and it's true.
That is right. Being appropriate and responsible and making good choices is all things that we're working on, and you have a lot of people that are supporting, and everyone in the hallways are going to support you making good decisions. And I will be right behind you making sure you're making good decisions. No, I'm just kidding. Nathan, did you want to just end, and then we have about 1 minute, and we're going to move on to the Q&As.
Okay, yes, so some sort of parting words, final words. So I know I go back to this a lot, but that video you saw in the beginning that has an, we want to sort of see the person and not the disability, because I think it's really important that we continue to build community. And I will just end with some words that I wrote. We're all different, But one thing we don't learn is how to foster relationships from people who are different from us. One of the examples that comes to mind is that it's hard for me to find people to sit with at lunch. I think we can all feel that way sometimes. That feeling of loneliness and isolation, especially in the crowded lunchroom. Since this talk is all about beyond kindness and being more compassionate to people with disabilities, I challenge you to go outside your comfort zone and talk to someone with a disability. Make someone with a disability feel welcome. See the person and not just a disability. Understand where they're coming from. Just remember to be kind, make eye contact, and smile.
So we have one question from the audience. Oh, we're having more too. Good. I'm going to rephrase it just a teeny bit, but get the same messaging that you have in here. So the media, social media, I don't know, all types of media. How do you feel about how disabilities are presented in the media? And do you wish that there were more representation, and Thatcher, maybe you can think about that, and then we can start with Thatcher and move on.
So you just mean the media in general?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. That's a large topic. But I would say I'm thinking of how people with intellectual disabilities are categorized, certain words that they're called, where we've had people in the media use those words, and then also thinking about autism, what that, anyway, I'll let you speak. Obviously, I feel passionately about this.
So, I wouldn't be able to say where specifically I saw it, but I know that I have seen examples of autism spectrum disorders when talked about in the media. It's happened that they get portrayed in a really negative light and in a very stigmatized way. For example, I have read about incidents where, okay, this might get a little bit
Go for
dark,
it.
but basically, I've seen articles about parents killing their autistic child, and nothing in the article ever highlights the fault of the parents. It always, unfortunately, I've had to read about autistic children being killed by their parents, and the victim gets blamed. And I think that's terrible. Nothing was said to point out how terrible it was for the parent to kill their child. They just sort of were like, yeah, this is what happens with children with autism, and it was unfortunate.
I recall that story.
Well, there have been multiple stories,
Right.
unfortunately.
Well, one in particular I recall recently.
Anything else about the media?
So I have a different take on how people with disabilities get portrayed in the media, and that's with the all about people with disabilities in the arts. My friend, I had a very good friend of mine. He works at the Massachusetts Cultural Council. He is the program officer of something called the Universal Participation Initiative. and he goes to a lot of movie screenings and museums and other stuff. He likes art as well, but what I really like about him is how he's an advocate for people with disabilities getting a chance to perform on stage and be in the arts, and that's one of the things I am working on as well. I sometimes don't get cast in shows because of that. Sorry, Mr. Brown. But anyway, yes, so, every couple of months, he holds this thing called the Accessible Performance Pipeline, and that's a talk where they talk about the issue of people with disabilities having less of a chance, being marginalized in the arts.
So you found that media or any type of community activism has been a positive vehicle for you to advocate and not, like you said, marginalized people with disabilities. Thatcher, on the other hand, has, shared an experience where in the media that does happen, and there's a lot of stigmatizing type of language maybe, or just like a lack of follow through that might send a different message. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm really also a big advocate for that, for people with disabilities, just in the world in general. We have another question here that is, this person asks, what is something that able people can do to make people with disabilities feel respected / heard? So, I know we have a limited amount of time and so many note cards, but I'll just answer this one. So, just like I said in my speech, you can really go outside your comfort zone and talk to people with disabilities, and make people with disabilities feel welcome, and just like see the person and not with the disability. I know I've said that multiple times, but I really want to get that point across. So,
Thank you, Nathan.
yes.
I'm going to have Thatcher answer a question that's specific. Go ahead, Thatcher.
Okay, so this question is, my cousin has Asperger's. How do I help her feel safe and comfortable? So answering that question is a little bit hard just because while that person seems to have the same case as me, it's really important to know that not everyone on the autism spectrum is the same. Like, everyone on the autism spectrum is different. Like, it's a spectrum disorder, there are different severities, and even people who fall on the same place on the spectrum don't necessarily have the same experience. But I guess to help whoever said this, to help your cousin make her feel safe and comfortable, for me, it's always been wonderful when people reach out to me, whether it be like just asking how I'm doing, or asking to go somewhere outside of school. Like, I think just being able to reach out and show them that you care about them and that you're seeing them for who they are as a person and not just seeing them for their disability, I think that'll really help.
Awesome, thank you. Brendan, do you want to, there was a question about what is Athletes Unlimited, which was a great question. Do you want to share a little bit about that experience, like a little bit, because we were pressed for time.
Athletes Unlimited is a program that I know, because Athletes Unlimited is a good program. I quit at my camp a lot to see my friends, and they're always like to say hi to me, but up to the point is that Athletes Unlimited is a good thing because it helps me out how to make me independent and make good decisions, and listen to my aid and do everything that I want to do.
Awesome. So it's through the Parks and Rec program in Newton, and it's a program for students with disabilities, and they do some adaptive athletics that Brendan and a lot of people are like superstars in. So here's a question. What's your plan in your dreams? Dacha, let's start with you.
Dreams in terms of future, or?
Yeah. Or however you want to interpret it.
So, yeah, I don't really know what I want to do with my life after I graduate. Like, okay, I'm headed to Skidmore College in the fall. I don't really know after that, though. I'm kind of going to play it by ear, but I do know that I want to have a successful job. I want to have a well-paying job, and that's pretty vague, but that's what I've got so far.
Hey, that's better than I had at your age. Allie, what are your plans or current plans? And you don't have to know it. It's okay to say I don't know.
Well, one of my plans is to work with little kids at a preschool. So like working at a daycare.
I need to use the restroom. This is towards the left.
All right, you can excuse yourself.
Hi, it's Ian.
Ian's going to be back. Brendan, what are some of your goals? What do you want to do? We talk about this a lot.
My goal is to get to the point, make good decisions, go to classes on time, and do what is expected with not expected to people, because my goal is to make lots of better decisions and lots of rules are North, and I feel happy about that.
Great, so you're going to continue being a student at North. One last question. Have you ever felt bullied or uncomfortable, or the question is, and how, have any of you ever been bullied? I also want to relate to all of you, and I'm on the autism spectrum as well.
Okay, so I'm not really sure if bullied is the term for it, but the point is I was treated negatively because, okay, anyway, so sophomore year, I wrote my sophomore speech on being on the autism spectrum, like my experience and why people should be more accepting of those on the spectrum. So in English, we got into groups to practice it, and my group was in the hallway, and one of the first lines of my speech was, "Everyone knows bullying is a pervasive problem, but did you know that children with autism spectrum disorders are 5 times more likely to be bullied than those who are not?" And then someone who I hadn't talked to in like a few years walked by and was just like, they gave a really sarcastic response that was, I can't remember if it was, "Yeah, I did know that," or if it was, "No, I didn't know that." Honestly though, the answer doesn't really matter, because the fact that they made a really sarcastic comment in response to something that was really personal to me, it hurt. Like, it was speaking really loudly, "Oh, I don't really care about autism spectrum disorders, so whatever." And looking back, I think I should have, I don't really know why I didn't report it, but I really should have.
Does anyone else want to share any negative experiences to answer that question? No? I know you talked about the lunch experience and just being, but did you ever feel bullied or unsafe?
I know I said that I feel like uncomfortable. Well, uncomfortable isn't really the phrase. I don't know, like not. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. I feel unsafe.
Isolated.
Isolated and
It's been difficult to connect.
is this on?
No. I think
Oh,
as the microphones are telling us that our time is up.
yes.
So, I mean, and not to cut you off, Nathan, you're
Right.
over on our time, and this is a very personal kind of journey.
Conversation.
And, you know, that everyone has different experiences, so I want to be sensitive to that. And I don't want to speak for you. But
Right.
I also recognize that this is a long block, and you guys have been awesome. And I really appreciate the captive audience that you've given us.
And one more quick thing I want to say. I know I've said this before, but I really challenge you to go outside your comfort zone and to talk to someone with a disability and make them feel welcome. So if anything, I really want that message to spread everywhere, and that's the message I hope you will take away with
Yes.
or leave with. And so thank you guys for coming.
Panelists again who were awesome and amazing. And thank you all, students for coming, teachers for bringing your students. And I want to thank Ms. Kaminsky, Lisa Goldwaith, Jenny Costa from Understanding Our Differences, and Mary Beth McIntyre, Allison Spiegelmeyer, our amazing intern, and graphics, and Archie Spock, who's been really helpful, Evan Brown, Ms. Dunn for being here, and Julie Azell interpreting as well, Dr. Tiki and Dr. Turner, Amy Winston, and please, if you'd like to engage more in this conversation, come see us at the center. We do sign up students for Athletes Unlimited to go. It's actually really, really fun to be there. So do come continue the conversation, and thank you all very much for being here.
We're asking to answer these questions more thoughtfully, and and we can publish them or put them out there for people, because we really do appreciate the interest.
Yeah, great questions. Great questions. Office, thank you. 125A, so at the back of the art corridor. So come by and see us. We'd love to work with you on anything that you're interested in and to learn more about things. So thank you so much. Thank you all very much for being here. My name is Claudia Wu. I'm with the Center for Civic Engagement and Service, and along with my co-director Terry Yaffe and Allison Spiegelmeyer, our intern, and we want to welcome all of you guys for being here. There are many people who've worked on this program, including Nathan Persiani, who's been really the inspiration and leadership for all of this, but Understanding Our Differences, Ms. Kaminsky and Lisa Goldwaith from the Special Education Department, Dr. Tiki as well. So a lot of people have been involved in this. We really appreciate you being here. And we're going to have a discussion about people living with disabilities and also making the transition after school, after high school, work in the workplace, maybe additional schooling as well. So we're really looking forward to having you be here. We will open this up for questions and answers at the end, so think about what questions you might have for these folks. And I will hand it over to Nathan and Ms. Kaminsky. Thank you.
I'm Nathan. I'm a junior here, and yes, thank you for being here, and
I'm just going to tell you the agenda of what we're going to be talking about today and just kind of help you understand the groundwork. We have a couple guests from outside the North community, and we also have some guests of the Newton community that are here to talk about their experiences with disabilities and what they've done outside of schooling. The one thing I just want to share is that this is not a planned speech. So you're really going to see authentic back and forth conversation about what it's like to kind of deal with having a disability in this world. So I just want to let you know this is sensitive. These are really difficult conversations to have, and they're so important, and we're glad that you're here to see and witness, and we hope during the Q&A we can engage you in that discussion process as well. So Nathan just introduced himself, and I'd like to pass the microphone to all of our panel guests to introduce themselves and say sort of why they're here, or who they are and why they're here, okay?
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here today at your school. It's amazing. I am Kreddy Fedel. I am 37 years young, who actually born with Down syndrome, who actually lives in Boston and have a cookie company.
Hi, I'm Victoria Hamilton, and I'm from Boston College School of Social Work.
Good morning, I'm David Tiki, and I am here, a retired faculty member of Newton Public Schools, and I'm very glad to be here today.
So first, we're going to watch a video, and it's about Colette and her experience and journey, and sort of what she's been up to. So we'll watch that, and then Colette has a sort of a speech or to talk about your experience, and then we're going to get into some more open-ended questions for the whole panel. Okay? I love technology. Can anyone help us with sound?
Since we first told you about this Boston entrepreneur with Down syndrome. And 1 year later, Colette DeVito has proven a lot of potential bosses wrong. Tired of job rejections, she started her own cookie company.
Tonight, WBC's Ryan Katz shows us the amazing success of her business and how it's now creating opportunities for others with disabilities.
You can't blame Colette DeVito for feeling a little giddy this holiday season. You can't stop smiling.
I cannot stop smiling. I cannot stop being happy.
1 year ago, we told you about her dreams of running a cookie company. At the time, the 27-year-old with Down syndrome was baking a few dozen cookies per week in her North End apartment and then selling them at the market down the street.
And we kind of fell in love with it.
Colette told us her business took shape after she tried to find a paying job, but kept hearing she wasn't the right fit.
You faced rejection.
I did, yes.
You're out to prove a lot of people wrong.
Exactly, yes.
180,000 cookies later, safe to say she's accomplished that mission. Her story quickly went viral.
They'll say if Colette can do it,
They can do it.
Appearing nationally on programs like the CBS Evening News. As orders poured in from around the world, there was an invite to the Oscars and a slew of awards, like winning a New Englander of the Year honor in October.
How would you describe this past year?
Insane.
But Mom Rosemary couldn't be prouder of what her special daughter has achieved.
We're elated because this population is getting recognized across the world right now for their abilities.
Last week, Colette moved into this new kitchen space at Community Work Services in downtown Boston.
It was a perfect match.
The nonprofit director says his organization trains people with disabilities on how to enter the workforce.
This is one of the greatest accomplishments that I've seen. And she's the perfect spokesperson.
The fame and fortune are nice, but that's the real reward for Colette, offering those paid positions to employees who might otherwise be overlooked.
That is my goal of my company, is to create jobs for people with disabilities.
It's obvious the smell of success hasn't changed Colette's personality, but it has done a lot to change perception.
It's beyond words. It's beyond words. She's amazing.
Perfect.
She's paving the road for a lot of people.
Next month, Colette's cookies will start appearing on the shelves at 19 Star Market locations around the Boston area. And as the business ramps up, she's trying to raise money to meet the rising demand. Her goal? To hire 20 people with disabilities. Ryan Kath, WBZ News.
I'm a breakfast person. But what's really...
That was awesome. Colette, do you want to share your experience? We'd love to hear more about it.
I'm very dumb now. It's amazing. Okay. Hello, I am Colette, the Freedom. Thank you very much for having me here today. I spent many years trying to get a paying job, but no one would hire me. I was always told you are not a good fit for our company. Really sad. Can you imagine coming to interview after interview and have a get-in offer a paid job? Because of some differences you have. This happened to me over and over and over again, and was very disappointing to me. I have worked very hard to be accepted and keep being left out. I decided this would not beat me down and I would not give up, so I decided to open my own company. I love baking, and my friends and family love my cookies, so I brought one of my famous cookies to a market near my home. I had them try my cookies and to see if they would sell them, and they did. Now I am growing my company and hiring people, some with disabilities, that are struggling like I did. I am so grateful because my story has gone across the country. In fact, it has gone across the world. I have been on a good hunting on America, CNN, MSNBC, CBS in the news, and even in newspapers in Japan, China, France, Italy, Greece, and even Australia. I am so happy because now the whole world is seeing what a person with a disability can do. So my cookies all sold online cosmetics.com and at some pockets. I have all kinds of gift baskets. You guys really should buy something special for your mom because it is almost even Father's Day. So you better get your mom really special. Where's my website? It's called cosmetics.com. Okay. I sell 3 dozen cookies a week and am growing to be even bigger. I have sold over 160 dozen cookies since last year. I am here to tell you to not give up and to not listen to people that say, no, you can't. Unless it is a teacher or a principal. Be nice to them too. If you have privileges, realize those privileges can make you an amazing person in the world. Look at me. I was told I would never go to college, and I graduated from Clemson University in South Carolina. I was told that I could have somewhat of a life and hopefully find a job for $2 to $3 an hour. I was ignored and treated badly and even made fun of. And also I got bullied since I high school for a freshman year. Now I am speaking in front of dozens of people, and just 2 weeks ago I got a call from the ambassador of Japan. I just signed a contract to have my own complementary Catholics and have been invited to the Red House, So if I can do it, who can do it? And please be kind to each other. Don't judge one another, but celebrate your differences and live one another, and never get bullied too. I would like to leave you with this. I'm a don't give up on your dreams. Don't let others bring you down. No matter, no matter who you are, you can make a great difference in this world. If you will let you will be, I am on Twitter, Facebook, and also Instagram, or through my website. So that's my story. And thank you again for and again for inviting me here today. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. That story is amazing, and you're really an inspiration for so many people. So thank you so much for being here, Colette.
Yeah, that was great.
So I want to introduce some of the other stories that we have today. Last block we had a conversation more with high school-based students, but now we're sort of opening up the dialogue to adults with disabilities, as well as sort of what happens after high school and how we manage. So I would love to pass the mic, and we can just start with Dr. Tiki or whomever you want to go first is fine. But just share your sort of journey in terms of how you learn to compensate with having a disability. If you want to share what disability you have, or any information regarding that would be wonderful.
Good morning. Is this on?
Yes.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. And I have been blind since birth. I did go to a public high school when that was in the 1960s. And I mention that just because legally in the United States, not until the mid-1970s was any disabled student required by their community to be educated in their community. Said another way, no school system had to accept a student with a disability until public school. They had an obligation to educate, so oftentimes they would send the individual to a school for the deaf, to a school for the blind, or some specific institution. And that changed in the 1970s, and the Newton Public Schools were in many ways well ahead of that, because in the 1970s, our EDCO program began at FA Day, where I was a teacher at the time. And also with regard to history of things that were going on in the 1960s, in the United States, virtually all 50 states had visual acuity requirements to public school teaching. And oftentimes blind people were not permitted to major in education or permitted to major to be a guidance counselor, because the public attitudes at the time were that to teach sighted children or to be a guidance counselor to sighted students, you needed to see. And an organization, a civil rights organization called the National Federation of the Blind, NFB, which is a civil rights consumer advocacy organization, changed those requirements. So that when I became certified, I took some education classes as an undergraduate at Holy Cross, and I did my doctorate at Harvard. And when I became certified to become a school teacher, I always tell people, I still remember the date, December 17th, 1969. I had done my student teaching at FA Day. I was then later on did my student teaching at Bigelow. And then later on did an internship at FA Day and was hired at FA Day. And like Colette, as much as it was to get the visual acuity requirements changed to public school teaching, the challenge then was to get a job. And many, many rejections. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Over 100 resumes, over 20 interviews, all were rejections. But I did get an opportunity when the principal at FA Day, a gentleman named Van Seasholes, offered me a job. So I began as a public school teacher in the Newton Public Schools in 1970. 1971 and worked at FAA and later on here at North High School. And I'm now retired, but Dr. Turner has asked me if I'd be willing to volunteer for some projects, and here I am, and I'm glad to be here. Just to kind of wrap up as we speak today, all of us, whether it be on this panel or those of you in the audience, I think in many ways have so much more in common than we do difference. There is much difference in this world. And obviously we want to respect human differences, all human differences, whether they be of faith, of culture, of race, of language. We need to respect all of those and think of what's going on in this school. Just in the past month or so, where we celebrated Martin Luther King Week, where we had the assemblies on hearing culture, other assemblies we've had the LGBT community things that we celebrate. We respect those human differences. What we're doing today, oftentimes people with disabilities are the forgotten minority, and in fact it's the largest growing minority in this country, is another aspect of respect for human differences. But I think the important thing to remember is that as much as there is in human difference, there is in human similarity and what we share in common. And some of the students in the opening panel this morning were talking about that, how much many of them like to sing, dance, do Zumba, sports, read, all these different activities that just encompass the variety of human interest and capacity and talent. But we all share those values of honesty, fairness, responsibility, respect. Every one of us wants to be known as honest. I mean, I don't think there's anyone in this group today who wants to be known as dishonest. We all want to be known as someone who is a person of integrity, somebody who is fair, someone who is respectful, someone who is responsible. And that we're all human in that regard. But I do think it's important to recognize and to make, and again, this is part of this discussion, is to raise the comfort level, because I think it's normal and natural when we meet somebody who is different from ourselves in some way, we can feel a little awkward and uncomfortable. And I would say that to Victoria, to Colette, to Nathan, and all of us. We're like you. When we meet somebody who is different from ourselves, we feel a little awkward and uncomfortable. And we have to remind ourselves that, hey, we share much in common with them. So sometimes people will say to me, well, gee, David, what do you think we ought to do? My response is, and I don't say this to be funny, but say hello. Say hello, smile, how you doing today? Is there any way I could be helpful? And in conjunction with that, Colette and Victoria, just want you to know that here at Newton North, just in the past month, we redid and refreshed our poster on respecting human differences, but communicating and interacting with people with disabilities. We worked with Mr. Donnellan and Kathleen Arpino in the guidance, in the graphics class rather, and those posters are up in the room, and I would encourage all of you here today, if you haven't read that, give it a read. And having said that, I'm going to conclude, and I'll pass the microphone to Victoria.
Hi, so as I said before, I'm Victoria, and I've been out of high school for 8 years. That's kind of scary to say, but I went to a public high school. It was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was a very determined little girl. I'm still talking to my friends, very determined. So when I was 10, I went on a summer beach trip to Charleston, and I declared to my family that I was going to college in Charleston someday. So they were like, okay, you were 10, you don't know anything, just have fun at the beach. And so when I was a senior in high school, and I had to overcome a lot of barriers. I had to fight to take AP classes. They were like, well, you're mainstream, that's hard enough. I was like, no, all my friends are taking AP. I love history. I love psychology. Let me take like history and psychology. So finally they let me because I'm not quiet. My resident attests to that. So, when I went into my high school guidance counselor's office saying I wanted to go to college for Charlottesville, which was 5 hours away, out of state, I didn't really know anyone there. My high school guidance counselor said, "Sweetie, I don't think that will be a good fit for you. Why don't you look at some local community colleges?" While these colleges were amazing in the area, my heart and soul was at College of Charlottesville. So I applied, I got accepted, and I graduated from College of Charlottesville in 4 years. And now I'm even farther away in Boston. So yes, I'm a little crazy. But
what are you working on?
Dream big, you can achieve it.
What are you working on? What graduate program?
Master's of Social Work, and I'm specializing in children, youth, and families. But after I graduated from College of Charlottesville, I took a few years off. I was a nanny for families, I was a preschool teacher, and I also had an internship at College of Charlottesville. I was involved for 4 years in the Disability Services called SNAP. And it was a wonderful program. And only I was doing some research for another graduate program, and only 13.7% of people with disabilities go to college. That number was so surprising to me, but not we need to change that. We just need to take time and listen to each other. If you don't understand what a person says, just ask them to repeat it, even if you need to ask them 1,000 times. We want to be understood, not just heard. And dream big, you can accomplish it. And just invite everyone over, we have more similarities than differences. And I think that older and older you get, you will realize that I remember in high school, I did feel very isolated. I was on the equestrian team, but outside of that, I didn't really have a group of people or anyone to hang out with outside of the bond but I think now, even 8 years later, more people are like, "Oh, you're cool, let's hang out." I'm like, okay, so you just have to, just go outside of your comfort zone and go and talk to someone not like you, because we have to go outside our comfort zone every day too.
It's a wonderful point. Thank you. So we're on sort of our clock here, and we're going to probably shift the panel discussion to more of a Q&A, and look at sort of answering direct questions from the audience. Do we have any questions at this point? Because I can generate. Oh, you can generate. You can pass the mic on to anybody who has a question. Does anyone have any? Oh, okay. Last time we did the note cards, but
Does any one here have specific questions? Because we have lots that we can talk about. Part of our program was related to the audience.
How did you come up with your cookie recipe for life?
How did you come up with your How did you come up with your cookie recipe?
First, I need to know what the name is. What is the name? Ava, okay. No, I'm sorry. What is your question?
Like, how did you come up with putting, like, the sugar around the top of your cookies? Like, why did you think of that?
It actually, like, since for months with my, with my friends and my family, I was trying to stop making cookies and trying to make all different types of my cookie. And then they actually tried my cookie, and then they were telling me all about this cookie. It is a medicine you is ready to start. And because I have no idea exactly how did I make that cookie exactly right. So I just wrote down what should I put into that cookie. It's called cognitive similar. I just put in eggs, chocolate chips, and oats, just like that. So I just wrote it down into step by steps. Is to like 4 cups or probably half cup of oats, half cups of chocolate chips. I just need to break it down with the pencil, like teaspoons, the cup, just like that.
In some ways, there's some artistic aspect of what you're doing where you don't exactly know where you're going to go, and you're experimenting and figuring out how you come up with these things, and then you write them down. Yeah, awesome. Someone else had their hand raised. Oh, I was about to give you my microphone. Gotta love these things.
If someone were to ship your cookies to get them, what would not working? If someone were to order in your cookies, what would the name of the cookies be in order for them to get them?
Well, actually, can you go to my website? It's called Compensate.com. That cookie I make right now is actually called a missing cookie. That's the name of the cookie, a missing cookie, because again, that cookie is that's amazing. So, because it's with cognitive similar. So I just combine that two of my cookie. So that's the name of the cookie on my website. It's called a missing cookie, and then you can really can buy like 1 or 2 or buy a dozen of the cookies like in clear package. Yes.
What's the biggest daily challenge that you
I think the biggest daily challenge right now in grad school, I have to write a lot, and even typing is always been a struggle to me. And yes, in grad school there's a lot of essays, so just doing the essays, typing them, and writing, taking notes in classes. And then also another daily struggle that I've always faced is just being understood, because I did not mention this before, I have cerebral palsy. But I feel like most people can understand me if they do take the time. And if you need me to repeat something, ask me, you know? And so I think those two are my daily struggles. Good question.
So, Dr. Tiki, this is Tracy. I know you know my voice. All of you up there have broken stereotypes and gone past what people might see your disability as or the limits on it. And I think, Tiki, every time you share your story with me, first I'm amazed that as a blind person you have had all the different jobs that you've had. But I think one thing that always amazed me, like I can see my students when they're misbehaving and running a classroom. Can you just share what that was like for you in the beginning and how, again, I think people can't understand, how could you possibly be a teacher, you're blind, they're going to misbehave, they're going to cheat, they're going to whatever. And again, all of you have broken those stereotypes, but I think that would resonate with the kids. Like, how did you do that?
Well, thank you, Tracy. And I guess the best way I can answer that is that I have faith in people. And I believe that there's good in all of us. And one of the challenges that I faced when I wanted to become a public school teacher, and I mentioned the number of resumes and interviews that I had and all the rejections. One of the questions that I was asked was, aren't students going to cheat in your class? And my response to that was this, I'll tell you exactly what I said. I said, first of all, cheating's been alive and well long before there were blind teachers. And secondly, I said, yeah, I expect some students will probably cheat, and I would hope and expect that I would discover that and would talk about it. And when I began teaching, it did happen. There were some students who cheated, perhaps some students who wanted to come to the classroom late, and I could always hear their footsteps, so because if you don't see, you'll learn in other ways. Doesn't mean my other senses are any better, it just means I use them more. But the cheating piece we talked about, and we had an honor system in my classroom, and that is that in many assignments that we would work together in groups, whether it be peers or groups of 3 or 4. I always, when speaking with teachers and students, I love it when people, whether it be students or adults, when we work in groups, because we capture each other's strengths. We all bring something to the table, our perspectives, etc. But on certain assignments, where I said, you're on your own, and whether it be a quiz or an exam, you're on your own. The whole idea was to do the right thing. If no one's watching, no one would ever know. You're on your own. And I'm happy and proud to say that worked very well. As a matter of fact, I had experiences that oftentimes I'd give a test to my students, and I'd go down to the teacher's room and get a cup of coffee. And sometimes my teaching colleagues would say to me, what are you doing here? Don't you have a class? And I'd say, yeah, they're taking a test. And I'm sure I wouldn't see them, but I'm sure I got some funny looks. Because, as I always would say to the students, your honor and your integrity is to do the right thing if no one's watching and no one would ever know. And that honor system worked, and I'm proud to say that it did, but it's not unique to my classroom. That occurred in many classes. Many colleges and universities now have an honor code. But also in terms of class management, Tracy, again, we all took responsibilities. I mean, I had EDCO students in my class, and EDCO students, we were a team. I was a captain. Everyone was involved. One day somebody would be a scribe, somebody else would hand out papers, but we were all a team, and we respected each other, and that's how it worked. So I hope I answered your question. Just in wrapping this up, kind of related to your question, Tracy, and Victoria's question, Victoria answered. Probably the biggest challenge that I face every day, and blind people and most disabled people would say, is public attitudes. The idea that less seeing, less hearing, less ability to be mobile, or less ability, difficulty with speech, means less capable, is false. So a lot of things that we face are everyday in public attitudes. So people not making eye contact, not to say hello, et cetera, et cetera. Those are the things, and sometimes on an interpersonal level, they're the things that mean the most. And we have a very high unemployment rate. So having this kind of conversation today is going to hopefully help that, because all of you in this room, your life, will know somebody with disability, parent, grandparent, you may be in a position to hire someone, and I hope you remember this today, because what we're doing here today is unique.
So I love when the short blocks go quickly. I was being sarcastic. Anyway, is there any parting words that people would like to share, because time's up, and yeah. Any parting words?
I know we have more questions too, which we love, but we can't, we're out of time. But I just wanted to, if you guys came, to speak, and is there anything that you'd like, well, first of all, if the audience has any other questions, write them down and we'll get answers for you. And then secondly, is there any parting words or what you would want to impart on any of these students here? So you have perspective, because you're now looking back, and you've overcome so much despite people's doubts, right? Do you have anything you'd like to share, lasting statements?
Dream big and achieve those dreams. You can do it.
Okay, before I do have to go, there's one quick thing. Just for each of you guys, with the teachers and the principals and friends and students at this school, I'm trying to say is that what I just said in my speech, I said that one by one, friends, always being there, each other, no matter what. Because if someone does not have someone back, they really should do that, because again, what you say is human, yes, but because just keep on working hard with other classes, and also do better than having extra special for the Father's Day for your mom, and also be nice to your teachers and your classmates and your principals. So then be nice to them too also. So then just keep on working hard, and then don't be perfect, just be who you are, and you can make a really difference in this world. So keep on doing that, and keep on working hard.